Grandpa and Grandma. Big memory for me growing up was us going hiking. I believe it was Grandpa, me, and Jacob, and we got lost for what memory serves to be about, I would say, 4 days. More than likely, it was more like 3 to 4 hours, and we made it back to a road eventually, and we eventually found a pavilion. This was an all-day excursion, and he bought us soft drinks, and to this day, the best orange Sunkist in a can I've ever had in my entire life was that day. I'll never forget how it tasted after not having anything for, again, what I'm pretty sure was about 4 days of hiking. So thank you for that memory, and love you a lot.
I always remembered grandmother always wanted to take me to the movies all the time, and grandfather always took me to Krispy Kreme whenever it was just me and him. So I'm gonna miss you guys.
John and Ann, we love you and we wish you all the best. We have been able to share so many things over the years with your proximity, but we also have a lot of a deep abiding faith that we're participating in something that's much bigger than us, and that we're always right in the middle of our story. You are and we are. We look forward to when we can see you again. All the best. God's grace be with you.
Yeah, we are just as connected when you're in Texas as we are when you're in Tennessee, and have always been, even when we were in West Virginia or Kentucky and not in Tennessee. So we'll just keep the lines open on the phone and the text, and who knows, we might need to come to that big water park that's near you with our grandchildren too. Love you.
Hey, Grandpa and Ann, wish you guys the best going to Texas. I guess I want to tell you a fond memory that I have with Grandpa, and that was learning to drive a stick shift in the Yugo in a parking lot in Dixon. I think that I was about 6 years old. I'm just joking. I was probably 12 or 13, and I remember turning on the car by pushing a button down in the middle of the console, and then I think it only had 3 gears in it. But it was a really fun time stalling that thing out and watching both of us kind of rock around inside that car, and I'll never forget that. I think it's really cool that my kids are getting to see you and know you, because I don't really remember my great-grandparents at all. So I think that's neat. We need to get a lot more pictures of them together. But we're going to be close to you. We're in the Midwest. We'll be just right above you, and we'll have to come down and visit again. Love you.
So, some of my memories. Well, I don't know if you've ever ridden in a 1970 Volkswagen Beetle with 3 boys in the back and 2 adults in the front across the state of Tennessee with no air conditioning. But you've got to do that sometime, because it'll create a memory that you'll never forget. And then, poor Dad and Ann would have to put up with me always crying, because every hotel we stopped at, my first question would be, does it have a diving board? does it have a diving board? Because I didn't want to stay anywhere there wasn't a diving board. So, but anyhow, I can remember some of those crazy things where we would just take off. And that was one of them where we all five got in the back, well not in the back, but we all five got in the Volkswagen Beetle and drove across Tennessee to look at battlefields, or I forget where all we went. I can remember when we were a little bit older cleaning carpet, and Dad was the scheduler, and Dad didn't like to say no to anybody when it came to scheduling jobs. And so we would literally go work, and usually it was probably me and Christopher mostly. Preston definitely cleaned quite a bit too, but it seems like it was me and Christopher on this. We would drive all the way to Nashville, clean 5 apartments or whatever, come back at 5, 6 o'clock, and then go to Bonanza and eat, because they would feed us, because we had to come back later at 10:30 when they closed and clean carpet till 1:30 in the morning. And then the great thing is we got to get up the next morning at regular time and clean all day again. So, but that did wear us out, but at the same time taught us a lot about life and a lot about work ethics. As a matter of fact, one of the things I talk about in my business today all the time is something that Dad really drove home when we were cleaning carpet, and that was just always looking around at everything you're doing and what is the client going to think when he comes in or she comes in and sees the room. And of course his example was always opening the door and looking behind the door. And I say open it, I mean like shutting the door to the bedroom and looking behind the door and getting all the lint. Because he would say it'd be great if you clean all the carpet, but if you leave that one little ball of lint that the client sees, then what are they going to think? And so just the details of serving well, and that's what we do. We carried into what we do at ProCare here. And so a lot of fun memories. Those are just a few. Until next time.
Okay, so one of my favorite memories is when we lived on Roosevelt Drive, and come home from school and you would turn the jump rope. So the rope would be tied to a big tree, and all my friends would come over and you would turn your jump rope so that we could all jump rope after school. So that was one of my favorites.
So my favorite memory about Dad was probably when John and I were first married. It might have been the first year we were married. And we lived in an apartment in Bellevue, and it was Christmas time. And Dad wanted to go to Sam's to get a spiral cut ham for Christmas. So he came and got me because I wanted to go to Sam's too. So we were going to go to Sam's together for this ham. So he came in one of his Yugos. So here we are, both tall people, and we're folding up into this little Yugo to go to Sam's. And we're headed that way, and all of a sudden Dad says, well, before we go to Sam's, I think I've got to pull over and get some gas. And I kind of glanced over at the pan on the gas, and I noticed it wasn't really that empty. And he said, this is the Yugo that has a hole in the gas tank, and it only holds so much gas. So we've got to get gas before we can get to Sam's. So that is probably my favorite memory of Dad. I've got a lot of others, but that's my funniest one, and the one that I'll never forget is the Yugo with the hole in the gas tank.
I just had another memory. Just came to me. I'd blocked it out forever. Ann is the only female in my life that has ever beat me in a game of ping pong. I can remember her just whipping my butt in the garage.
She whipped mine too.
I don't know how old. I was probably only 4 years old, and I think that's why it happened.
We are going to have so much good stuff for John's funeral. The birthday party, and this great video. You know, maybe we should have it before he dies.
It's more
Wouldn't
fun
that be
that
great?
way.